TikTok. Like Chinese horse or the cryptol. Chop it up and make you fall from the disc. You know one and a disguise, man a big dog. I saw you disappear.
Dancehall.
What is that?
Trinibad.
Dancehall.
Mixed with R&B.
Still dancehall.
Okay, so let us look at the word genre. We're speaking of new genres of the Caribbean. A genre is a specific type of music, film, or writing. Your favorite literary genre might be science fiction, and your favorite film genre might be horror flicks. Go figure. In music, though, genre refers to a musical style such as jazz, salsa, rock, dancehall, reggae. You're welcome. Lest we should leave it out. So I go to my panelists and I ask them 2 questions. And each person gets an opportunity to answer before we jump right into, because I know we're going to argue, because I have all kinds of strong personalities up here. So I expect the argument. I'm asking one from each of you, what is a genre to your mind? And 2, to describe the genres. Tell me what genres you heard a while ago from the songs that were played. We heard what the audience thought. But we are the experts up here. What genres did we just play? And what is a genre? We start with you, Michael, and we go that way? You'd like to start with Shawnee? Let's start with Shawnee.
What's a genre? I think a little while ago, it was a lot easier to define what genres were, because everything fell into a pocket. Reggae was reggae, hip hop was hip hop, R&B was R&B. But now those lines are a lot more blurred because you have got genres merging into each other, and I think that's what you heard in that collage of videos right there. But for me, what I heard there was extensions of dancehall.
Thank you.
And I think it's for people like myself, broadcasters, to be able to make sure that we stamp and validate all that stuff properly and say, yes, it's great that comes from Trinidad, that comes from Central America, that comes from wherever, but it all derives from dancehall or Jamaican music.
Thank you, Shawnee B. Let's move to Dr. Stephen Walcott.
Good afternoon, everybody. In music, genre is used a lot of the time not only to tell you what style is, but what style isn't. So it's meant to create expectancy for the people who are inside the communities making the music, and for people you want to market that music to. So by putting a label or a genre or anything, you are drawing a line around it and say this is what it is and this is what it isn't. So it creates a level of expectancy for people who want to buy or who want to market it to. So it's one of these marketing tools predominantly in the music industry, the popular music industry. But Shawnee said it's less controversial these days, maybe within the world of dancehall or reggae. But people have been arguing about genre from the time popular music began, as in what is jazz. There were huge debates back in the 1920s about what isn't and what is jazz, where the people who represented the Negro communities felt it's this way and people who came outside of it thought it was another way. So it's all these debates going on for many years when it comes to the labeling art. But just remember that it's highly contested, who controls what it sounds like, what it isn't, and that's where we get these debates coming from. But the principal role of a genre is to create an expectancy of what something is and what something isn't. So in those songs that we just heard, it depends on where you are within the creative world in Caribbean music. So for example, the Swanee guy, the Trinis, would say that's Trinibad, some say Zex, and that's the debate now, what is Zex? Is Zex actually different from Trinibad? Is it different from dancehall? But all of these things, like, if for us in the Caribbean, the Southern Caribbean, creating these smaller derivative forms of dancehall, labels are important for us because of a way for us now to delineate what we are doing and separate it from the dancehall in general. So we say this is our space. We're doing it with Barbadian accents, we're doing it with Trinidad accents.
Is it necessary to separate?
for us it is. For the marketers, for those creating these very new styles, because we want to carve a space. So when when they say the word, they know what to expect. They expect to hear Bajan artists doing this music. So for us, it's very important in labels in terms of drawing a distinction between the overall dancehall world that Jamaicans live in.
Okay. Ruben Shaw?
Mic on? Yeah. Genre to me is just a term that's used to classify music that comes from certain cultures of people around the world. Music is music. Genres, as an artist, the genres to me are nothing but, little jailhouses that they try to put artists in. They try to box them in a genre. Kanye West would say, you can't marginalize my music in a genre.
So then when you go to studio to create, you don't say, well, I'm going now to do a reggae song, or?
I mean, I know the difference. I know what they classify it as. But when I go into the studio, I go in there and make music. And whatever this leads me with the rhythm or the beats is whatever comes out. Just cause it's a dancehall beat or a reggaeton rhythm doesn't mean that I gotta sing my song in Spanish. People typically do. But then you have some people who go out the box with it, like that music that we just played. I heard everything derived from, I would say, Jamaican music. But I heard some dancehall in there. There was some Afro beat in there. There was a mixture of a hip hop style in one of the tracks in there, but ultimately it's all music. So that brings me back to the original thing that I said. It's just a term that's used to, classify the music that certain cultures of people do. Taylor Swift does a song with Ice Spice. They call it pop. But Ice Spice is rapping on it.
Pop isn't a genre though, is it? Because pop is whatever is popular.
Hey, that's what they say. But, if just because Drake does a dancehall rhythm, they don't call it dancehall, they say that's a pop track. Nah, that's a dancehall tune. That's a Jamaican influenced song. We just classifying it as whatever because that particular culture picks that up. Oh, that's a Drake. Oh my gosh, that's pop. That's the most pop. No. That's what we classify it as. It's really just good music. And a lot of that good music originates from this culture.
Amen to that. Mikey Bennett.
True. I've always thought that the classification has more to do with the vocalists and the vocal styles than the rhythm tracks. Because I know it's referred to Sister Nancy thing as dancehall as opposed to reggae or dub. I thought it was reggae because the rhythm was a reggae rhythm. It is also interesting to note that reggaeton, which sounds more like dancehall, is not dancehall, but reggaeton. Because reggae has this big classification, and within reggae, like Stefan said, classification for media houses are very important and for things. So we find that the music of Jamaica, up to a certain point, it was reggae or derivatives of reggae. So there was a time when dancehall was like a second cousin to reggae. When I just got into dancehall, it was actually looked down on Jamaica. Like, boy, it won't last. But from my experience,
is that pretty much like what's happening now? The music of the young people, we say, is not going to last.
Yeah, I think it's a generational thing. Mm-hmm. And like I was telling somebody, if my kids and the young people that in my circle were doing the same thing that I was doing, I'd be very disappointed. I'm happy. Although I don't get some of it, But back to the word genre situation, I think genres are more influenced by vocal styles, the reaction of the vocal on the rhythm than the rhythm track. Is there a difference between hip hop and rap? Or can they be used?
Hip hop is the culture.
Because what we
rap
realize
is
with
what you
hip
do.
hop,
No, but hold on, let's answer that.
is there a difference?
Hip hop is the
Hip-hop or
culture.
rap?
Yes, there
Hip hop
is
is
a
the culture. Rap is what you do.
Yeah, rap is the actual art of it.
Rap is the art form
Yes.
of the vocal art form.
Rap is the, yeah.
Is everybody here?
Hip hop has become a culture
Can we
now.
have a microphone, please?
Right, so what they're saying
Can we
is-
have a microphone so we can actually hear the answers? Because we certainly do not want
Let me just finish this point. Okay. So, yeah, hold on. My thing is that hip hop, they didn't, so there's a hip hop, popular hip hop beat. But whatever the rappers, whatever rhythm track the rappers used to deliver the thing on, it all automatically became a hip hop song.
Yeah.
So it was really the influence.
Because when Notorious B.I.G. would have taken M2 Men's song, when he used it, it was
It
referenced as
became
hip hop.
hip hop.
A big, yeah.
So I mean, and the thing, the same thing with anything bound to kill go on right now can be classified dancer. That's what I see.
So therefore, are we agreed that dance hall is whatever a dance hall artist jumps on? I see JR reaching for the mic.
Not necessarily. Start.
Check. So, love this conversation, by the way. Genres are really, well, now it's about niches, right? Different niches all over the world. So radios play specific. You have country radio. Beyonce getting in a little tussle now with the country radio stations all over the world. You have hip hop radio station in Jamaica. You have reggae radio. You have Cool 97 that just plays a type of music. Whoever, that's niche. But there's a money component to different genres. There are 110 songs that are certified diamond in the US. The top 4 are dancehall songs. Ed Sheeran, Shape of You, French Montana, Unforgettable. Drake have One Dance.
One dance.
That's both a dancehall and
Afrobeat
song at the same time.
Right. Yeah.
Wizkid and Drake, right? But no one classifies. There's one more. I don't remember. Oh, Justin Bieber.
So you're saying that what
Let me tell you what I'm saying.
both dance hall and Afrobeat is because you have 2 different artists.
No, because of the sound.
The sound,
None of them are. None of them were really. They sound the same type of groove if you listen to the song, but
On the same rhythm.
On the same rhythm. But
the
Wizkid
rhythm
is an
itself.
Afrobeat guy.
Right.
The beat is dancehall. For one dance. And Drake, Drake appropriate anything that makes sense, right?
Making it a dancehall song.
Making it a dancehall song. However, no one calls it a dancehall song. And because of that, people say dancehall now sell.
Why no one calls it a dancehall song?
Because as he made the point, if Drake does it, it's pop. If
Or because we
Rihanna
don't
does
have
it,
the ability to market ourselves. And market
no,
our-
with the person, the genre is always tied to the person
Who's the bigger artist?
versus the sound of the record, or where the culture has stimulated the record.
Okay. Okay.
But that's why I think it's so important that we do have these labels, because what happens for me is that the community is then left out of the conversation when it goes forward. Because everybody's there talking about the culture, we're doing it for the culture. But for me, when we do it for the culture, and then the culture extends itself out to other people and everybody else hugs up the culture, where is the community in this? And I feel that the community of dancehall and reggae has been left out of the sound moving forward because we haven't put that title on it.
I'm not sure I understand. Explain that.
As in, for instance, like what you said, the points, the 4 top records that you're saying, that the highest selling records, yeah? They're dancehall records. But where are our dancehall artists behind all of this?
Yeah, but here's the thing with us Jamaicans now. Anything that we hear or we see on television or out there that popular, that have anything that we consider Jamaica derivative, we just claim it, I remember in the 90s or the early 2000 when the hip hop, the remix version of some of the Shabbas and the Shaggies were R&B remixes, but we didn't call them R&B songs. They were dancehall songs.
And your point, what you meant, Mikey, about the vocals on top of
Exactly.
it claimed it and it did own it. It was a massive ownership in it. But these records, you cannot deny that these records are not
I agree
dancing.
100%.
Because just by the way you see people dancing to these songs, it tells you it's music from the Caribbean, it's music from Jamaica. Because the culture is surrounded all of these records. And the cool factor that Shaggy talks about, the cool factor goes with it, but we don't go with it.
Yeah, so what it means sometimes that we have to go back to the lexicon and have the audacity to change up some of these definitions that we have
100%.
accepted for years now. Right, Stefan?
But that's the thing about genre, right? And music especially, is not necessarily biology, because the definitions are always shifting depending on your point of view, right? So you might define it musically as dancehall, as this, has this beats coming on this beat, this offbeat here, but then you put a Japanese artist on it, and you put a K-pop artist on it, and suddenly that definition shifts. And that's the thing with genre, it will always be these kind of debates where people say, is this, it is that, because they're always shifting depending on your point of view, and depends on who's saying it, and what power they have, and if the community validates it. Because for us in the Caribbean, in the other part of the Caribbean, Jamaican validation means a lot to us. Right? When Jamaicans get behind an artist and said, yeah man, that man is it and it's hitting in Jamaica, that all of a sudden brings another layer of validation. That's because you guys own the genre. You all are seen by us to own the genre of dancehall and reggae. And you can only have that authenticity when you hit in Jamaica and when you guys give it that approval. Right? Because that is your genre that you own. While it's all, and some may say that they don't own the genre. The other people, it's always back and forth, but for us, that's why I said that genre is changing depending on your point of view, because to us, you guys own all of that. So if you were telling a Barbadian that all those songs are dancehall, then okay, fair enough, yeah, Jamaican say it, so it must be dancehall.
So it must be dancehall.
Yeah, it must be dancehall.
But so I want you to continue now to tell me, from your studies, what would you classify as new genres of the Caribbean? Let's say we're starting from a place of ska, rocksteady, mento. We move to reggae. We have dub, and we have dancehall. What would you say, if any, are new genres of the Caribbean?
New genres to me are all of them have this dancehall derivative. The ones I've heard coming out from our part of the world. All of them are based from the time a person starts to do the speaking with a musical track as a backing, that open up a door to a whole set of creativity where people who are not necessarily musically trained in the classical tradition. And because of that, we have a whole offshoot reggaeton, and for us now is what we call Bajan dancehall and Bajan dub, where we do it now in Barbadian accents, which sounds to us completely different. Some people outside of the Caribbean will say it doesn't sound that much different, but to us in the Caribbean, we recognize that Barbadian accent is really different to the rest. So it brings another genre to me. And Trinidadians are now doing it with Swanee, etc., and the Trinibad guys. And those are the new genres to me, the ones that are derivative of dancehall, that are now claiming their identity separate to the overall dancehall tradition from Jamaica.
So at what stage does a new movement or a new style become a genre?
That's where the debate comes in. But for me, is when there's a community that supports the idea of this new genre. It's not just one guy putting up his hand and say, yeah, this is new genre, it is this. It's when the other people begin to replicate what that person is doing. And we hear a style coming through where multiple people are doing this, performing, producing, singing music like that guy. And then other people outside of that community say, wait, this is something new. And then they now treat that music and those artists as doing something different than what was done before. So that's when the genre was created to me.
As somebody that's been playing the music for over 30 years, I just see that as music evolving.
Exactly.
And maybe not a new genre that is being created, but it's just music evolving. So even if you look at where dancehall is right now in 2024, it doesn't sound like dancehall of 20 years ago. But then the dancehall of 20 years ago didn't sound the same to Jamaican music. The Jamaican music of 20 years previous. So the music is always evolving. And sometimes I believe
but
that it's
even
just...
as the music is evolving, Shawnee, are we still able to identify it? It's a conversation. When you talk about reggae music and what reggae music is, and how do you identify reggae music, whether it's Bob singing or Dennis Brown singing, whether it's Catalite singing, or whether it's Chronics singing, what is it that makes us able to identify that it's reggae?
I think sometimes that where this new stuff comes in is that I don't want to identify with what my parents was listening to. I want to have my own thing. So when I speak to a lot of these new artists, the Rajawas, the Valiants and all the rest of it, when they look at 90s dancer, they look at that as their father and their mother's thing. Do you get what I'm saying? It sounds crazy, but when
but they take it and them in the vernacular, them lick it over though.
but it's like, I suppose when I was listening to Beanie and Bunty in the 90s, Gregory and Dennis, and that was like my mother and them lots things. So now, when we're listening to Valiant and Raja and Craft in 2024, Beanie and Bunty is what, like, we would call that revival old school music in the UK. That's their thing. I think it also comes with, I always tell people that I feel that as the elders, the mature people, that we're in a battle for the space. Because I feel that as the older ones right now, we're a bit of an experiment. Because I'm 50 years of age this year, and I still think I'm one of the most relevant dancehall DJs that finds new talents globally right now. When my dad was 50, he was not thinking about none of this. So we're still fighting their space, and we're trying to tell them what it is, where we're kind of like,
still, Shawnee, how are you identifying it? And I want Mikey to come in here also. And then how are you identifying it?
When I'm on the radio, it's
I want you to
dancehall.
answer my reggae question.
Okay.
Because we're looking at genres and we're looking at the evolution of genres, which I have no problem with as we have this new genre discourse. However, the point I'm trying to make is whether it's Gregory or it's Bob, whether it's Dennis or it's Maxi Priest, or it's Protege, or it's Leila Ike, and we call it still reggae. How are we identifying it? And even as it has evolved, what is it that makes everybody know that it's still reggae?
Because it's original. That's what it is. You can't change the sound of reggae. It is an original creation from our people. Everything you said is right about dancehall, but it's still dancehall. You can't change it to call it trap dancehall, tropical outside, reggaeton. It's dancehall.
So until we don't rename reggae?
Until somebody, you're gonna rename it because it's a new time. It's like you said, the young kids don't wanna watch Family Matters with me. You know what I mean? They wanna watch Love is Blind on Netflix. They don't wanna watch Family Matters. You know what I'm saying? They want that new thing. But this is the thing. I don't believe that new thing has even been created, because an original sound is brand new. It doesn't sound like anything that there was before. Right now, I think the genre of dancehall, we're tapping into other genres. Whereas back in the day, other genres was tapping into us.
Facts.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We over here trying to mix our music with their music. When they was coming in, they sampling us. That's a problem. So we ain't ready to say that we got a new genre here. We too busy trying to give it away.
So is trap dance hall a new genre? Is Trinibad a new genre?
If that's what the artists want to say, yo, man, I new artist, I trap dance hall artist. Okay, if that's what helps you sell records. But I know the truth. That's dancehall music. You trying to mix it with a little rap style that they do in Atlanta. Sells you a couple of records or gives you a couple of streams or whatever. But it's nothing really out the box. It's not original. It's not touching me. When reggae came out, it was original. When Bob Marley was doing his thing, it was original. That's why 50 50 years later, they could come out with a movie about them. You know what I mean? To tell the story, or try. You know what I mean? Ain't nobody gonna tell the story about how we created a sound, and then you named 4 of the top records or whatever. None of those people was Jamaican. You said Ed Sheeran. You said Drake. Ain't none of them Jamaican, so we gave away our genre, only to go tap into other genres that don't belong to us when they're still coming and tapping into our genre, selling millions of records.
Okay, good point. Let's get back though to what